So, I was going over some testing material today. I been working on setting up a business. I always had a thing for photography. I got me one of these fancy little drones I was going to use with it to try and get aerial shots of things just for my own enjoyment. And also you can get paid to like do these for businesses to get shots and things for them they can put up on their websites that I was reading on. I've been learning up on it, and so I've been having to do the test for it because you need a Part 107 test so you can get licensed to make money off of it. And I can't even upload it up to YouTube because if I happen to get monetized, apparently even if I make 1 penny and I don't have that license, it's like $100,000 fine. But just got me thinking about the frustration of everything requires money and licenses nowadays. That just seems a bit absurd to me. That they like the government's got to get their fair share, and it's like for something as simple as like a $175 test. Like if you don't pass that test, they give you a $100,000 fine. Seems a little steep to me, but feeling frustrated. I have suffered with a lot of PTSD ever since I was a child, and I find myself kind of reacting. I've gotten better with my PTSD, but I find myself still reacting in ways of anger and frustration as I've been trying to learn all these things and having to jump through all these hoops just to simply basically have a toy. I mean, it's just really what it is. I mean, I used to have, little remote controlled aircraft when I was a kid that were nowhere near like these. They kind of go up, they kind of do whatever they wanted. You can really control them very well. I guess that kind of puts how old I am in comparison to, but I digress. But I was finding myself reacting in a way that I wasn't even angry. It's just I'm so used to being angry all the time because of my PTSD. And I think that's part of the problem with a lot of people, especially in modern society. They react to things just simply being used to having to react. And everything's so amped up that people gotta react more than what is necessary for them to get their point across, because just the way our society is, that there's not really a norm. You can't simply speak, and because people don't seem to listen, because a lot of people don't listen because they'll say more will listen of when they are able to speak. They don't really listen to understand what you're trying to say. They don't even really seem to care. I've been having to do a lot of meditations and things to help me, and I found this breathing method of box breathing is a thing people call it. They just call it something else, I think, the actual term for it. But you'll breathe in for a number of seconds, you hold it for the same number of seconds, you breathe out for twice that amount of time you breathed in. And it's scientifically actually proven to lower your heart rate. And I find I do that during my meditations to help me lower my heart rate and try and, be in the presence of my mind. For those who don't know, PTSD, your mind loops on things a lot, especially things that frustrate you. So, and everyone, I think, gets a bit of PTSD through their life. Not ain't got to be real severe, but that's why I think people react the way they do. Something, when they're reacting, especially in a loud manner, that it's something stemming to not necessarily that in particular is such a big deal, but it's just how they are, because like perhaps they weren't listened to. And I think that everyone would learn, instead of, because people like don't think they can be yelled at. And part of the problem for me is I'll yell at somebody if they're doing something wrong, but I was in the military as well, so with PTSD being in the military, that was like the norm. You did something wrong, you'd get your ass chewed out, and we'd get on you about it, and we'd call you out in front of other people. And a lot of people don't like that, but I think it's actually useful at times to be called out in front of everybody. Too many people want to do wrong and then hide it, and like act like it never happened. They don't want people to know, and especially in our political system. And even going on looking at the new news events today, I just more people ramping up things. It's people still want to escalate things, and so I'm not wanting to go over all that stuff today, just because it just annoys me, and I'm sure as it annoys anyone else, that just the mental state of the world seems to be in. But can't try to control other people, especially anyone in any kind of authority position, because say they're put in a position that they see as authority, and they'll view that as they don't have to listen to you, or they're in the right because they're the one in the power, and things that, all the different psychological things you can get into with that. But for us, as just people dealing with another person, I find that, one, it's good for, if you don't meditate, to meditate at least 20 minutes a day. Just don't worry about thinking on everything. Just try and clear your mind. Like, if you have a thought, don't linger on it. Like, you ain't gotta sit all cross-legged and all that and anything. Just practice that breathing technique of, you breathe in, say, for 4 seconds, you hold it for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 8 seconds, then you hold your breath while it's out for 4 seconds, and you just loop that. Do that for about 20 minutes. Don't even worry about if your mind's going anywhere. Just focus on your breathing. And that will help you. And then you can worry about clearing your thoughts later. It's still difficult, especially I have PTSD. It's very hard for me. But when you do that, and you find a time when people are arguing, especially if you're involved, if you take that time, even when you pause and you don't respond immediately, even just taking that breath to keep yourself calm instead of reacting, like feeling like you're being attacked. A lot of people calm down themselves when you don't immediately repeat back to them. When you're just like, hey, sit there and take your breath in, hold it, and then breathe out, and then think about, is the thing you're going to be able to think about what you're going to want to say at the same time. And then a lot of times they'll see you being calm, as it were, even if you're feeling upset. Just they'll calm down themselves more. And I think that's a part of the thing, is a lot of people get that thing where they even may unconsciously want that reaction. Because when I was a kid, I'm not a very big guy, so I was never a very, very big kid. So naturally, everyone wanted to pick on me, because that's just how it was, I always found it funny is I was used to it, because I was abused at home and school. I had abuse everywhere. So, I'd go to school and get beat up and then get a bloody nose and then get blood on my shirt. Then I'd go home, and then my mom would beat my ass because I got blood all over my clothes. So, it was like kind of a never-ending cycle. So I got used to just, people being hating me. I just thought, well, that's just how life is. So I got to a point where people would try to talk shit on me. I'd see, like, because my brother and my sister were their half brothers. That's a whole other story. That part of they'd pick on me too. That's a whole other video I'll do maybe one day. But they would get mad about things like that. Like, that people would talk crap on your mom or your dad and sit there and they'd get mad, and kids would do that. I always thought it was funny because I'm like, well, because our mom wasn't nice, so I never understood why they even cared if they were saying, hey, your mom's, stupid or whatever. Like, well, okay. And I find when they get reacted, they'd sit there and see the other people get a little laugh. And kind of a smile on their face, because that's what they were wanting. They wanting a reaction, right? That's how kids are. Especially when they're wanting to be mean. So when they do that to me, I'd say something. I just either wouldn't say anything or say something along the lines like, your mom's some kind of word or something. Or a lot of the ones they always like, which is funny because a lot of the ones they would like to do is the, I slept with your mom joke. But, we were like 10, 11 years old. So it was just, they've heard that from like their mom, their dad probably, or something like that, older brothers, that they thought it sounded cool. Like, it didn't make any sense. It's like, 11-year-old kid's like, okay. So I was just like, oh, well, okay. Well, that's fine, He's like, well, you better, get, condoms or something so you don't have alimony to pay or some weird thing, random weird. And they would actually get mad that I wouldn't get mad at what they said about my mom, which made it funny to me because they'd sit there and talk crap on my mom about something, and I'd join them in some way sometimes, and they'd be like, how are you going to talk crap on your mom? I'm like, well, how are you talking crap on my mom? You don't even know her. Like, yeah, but it's your mom. I'm like, she's kind of mean, so I don't care. And eventually a lot would leave me alone just because I wouldn't let them have that outrage or that reaction. That's what they were really after. So I think if you kind of a random story, I know, but I think if you can apply that to yourself, of when someone's wanting to get in your face about something, especially they're wanting to argue, and you see them just keep attacking it, what they're probably after is that reaction. So if you were to just take a breath, hold it, breathe out, and just kind of look at them, either don't say anything or agree with them in some way that's going to throw them off. And then they're probably going to leave you alone, or they're going to try to attack you in some other way. But if you just keep not giving them what they want, you're going to look better around if anyone else is around anyway. And part of my thing is having to remember, now for me, this can apply to whoever, but for me is always to always behave as if you are being watched, especially in today's society, because you most likely are. And therefore, you should always act as if you are a gentleman, right? And that, say, specifically for me, if you, man or woman or identify as whatever, I don't care. It's just, if you behave like someone who is kind, even though at times it can be hard, especially for me with PTSD, that, it doesn't matter really what you do or what you say. If you do it in a calm manner, a lot of the times people perceive perceive you as being in the right. And I think people just learn that, and then learn that the person being upset or getting after them is probably there's something in their life that's made them feel that way. So you shouldn't really take it personally. Because I will yell at people who screw things up, and they take it as if I'm being mean, but it's not really me being mean. It's just the way I was brought up and the way, I was in the military. That's how we were. Like, it was just something in me. I'm not even necessarily mad. That's just my reaction. That's just how I am. Which I've gotten better at doing, since, especially being in civilians who don't think they can even be called out for doing anything wrong without even, I won't even have to yell at them. They get all upset. It's kind of funny that they get mad and like, hey man, like, why are you calling me out like that in front of everybody? That's embarrassing. Like, well, you screwed something up and you weren't even going to own it. You were just going to pretend like it didn't happen. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, why don't you don't want to own your mistakes? So that's a whole other thing, to do with however they were brought up or whatever's pertaining to them, that they're not wanting to do that. Perhaps they're embarrassed or worried about getting in trouble or whatever that I could have done better on. But I don't know, I was just thinking about these things as I feel frustrated with having to, do this test, pay this money for this test. It's like a $175 test I gotta pay for just to be able to fly this drone. I mean, I could fly it just by simply registering it, but only as recreational. But if I wanted to try and make money off it in any way, which I have another YouTube channel I'm putting up for my photography I'm getting started on, and I was figuring I'd put some drone footage on there that, if I was to happen to get monetized, like I said, even apparently if I make a penny, I could get fined $100,000. So I'm having to do the test. In the long run, it'll be cheaper to do the test than pay that fine. But I was finding myself, I used to get real mad and want to, I would throw things. So I was wanting to, what was I having? I think it was my pencil or something. I was writing down notes, and I was trying to take a practice exam, and I kept screwing up. And I was like, God. It's like, crap, that was wrong. I was like, I got this wrong. I mixed up these two different things, and I was going to go throw my pencil. And I kind of sit there and think, I wasn't even mad. As a thing, I was just used to doing it. That's the thing. So I had caught myself on there, and I just thought about that. And I wasn't going to do a video today, but I just thought I'd bring that up and put out a video that, when you react to something, and if you take your time and think about it, it's like, are you reacting to it because you actually care, or is it just a normal thing you built into your body and your mind that, hey, this is something I've been doing, so now it's become habit. And that comes back, say, a video I've done before of knowing your whys, and like, hey, why am I doing this right now? And that's something I find helpful, to go through and think about what you're doing, and to think of why you're doing it, and then ask yourself, hey, go through and work. Hey, why am I upset? Why does this bother me? Or why did this start? Like where did it come from? Like, what brings this on? Like, you work your way back for any little thing. I say, it doesn't matter what it is specifically. Like I said, I had mentioned in that video, like liking pineapple on pizza or not liking it. Like, a lot of people will just want to jump on the bandwagon, as it were. I see a lot that they don't really think they have an opinion. They just want to be involved in some way, because You'll see that a lot in society, especially with the rise of social media. I've seen that trend a lot. A lot of people would just say things that never made sense to me, especially when there's people I knew that really had no experience with the thing they were mentioning it in any way. That I was like, well, how are you getting that? And I'd notice that would be all over social medias, is this little topic. It's like the buzzwords everyone likes to use. Like, you'll see it, just this word will be popular, then it'll go away, then it'll be another word, and then that'll go away, then it'll be another word. It's, these, they're just trends, is what they are. And it's one of the problems with social media, and the fact that you can even see, like, these tech companies, all the people that run them, they won't even let their kids go to school where they have all this tech, like a lot of schools have. They go to schools where it's just books and things. They keep them off of that because they're finding even just using laptops and things for some reason, and like tablets to go over stuff, kids don't learn as much as if they're actual books, pencils, and like paper, or pens and paper. Like when it's all done on computers, for whatever reason, kids don't learn as well. So like you see all these big tech guys who have these social media platforms that don't let their kids on social media, and they don't let them in the schools where they use tech. They use like books and pencils and paper. So I mean, that should tell you something there about, for yourself, perhaps read. And I find reading is important because you can run into words you don't know, and the thing was to look them up and learn that word, and that's how people learn things. And a lot of people will use words that they don't even know the definition to. They just, it's a buzzword, they just want to use it. Let's see, what was an example? What's the thing everyone called, was it incel? They apparently, I don't know what it was exactly. It was something about guys on the internet being jealous of not getting women or something like that. I'm not even sure myself, but I noticed people would use that for anything. Anytime they didn't like somebody, they'd be like, "Oh, that guy's just an incel." I was like, "Well, what? How do you go off of that? Like, what is that based off?" It's like, because from my understanding, it has something to do with a guy not being able to get women, but like, the person would have like a bunch of different girlfriends all the time. So I'm like, that doesn't seem like it fits. It seems like you're just wanting to use that word. And then people would get mad at me for calling that out. And like, "Oh, you're probably just an incel." I'm like, "Well, what are you talking about?" It's like, I was just curious of how, you would use that word when it doesn't seem to fit. Because this thing is, words don't matter, but they kind of do. So you should know the definition of a word if you're going to use it. It's like this terrorist. Everyone wants to call anyone they don't like, "Oh, they're a terrorist." It's like, well, according to the definition, a terrorist is somebody who does something for a political or religious reason. So like, you'd see these kids who go to school and do the school shootings, everyone would want to call them a terrorist. It's like, well, they're not a terrorist. And they'd get mad, like, well, how do you figure? It's like, well, according to the definition, they don't fit it. I mean, I'm not saying it's right in any way for what they did, but just the definition alone, they would not be a terrorist just because they did something like that. And they think, well, and a lot of people would say, well, they're terrorizing people. I'm like, I know, it's confusing. English is weird. Terrorist has terror in there. You think, but that's not actually how that worked. And that would make people mad. And they're like, you just, probably think I was some Republican or something. I was like, no, I just simply go off of definitions. The way I was raised, I had Republicans on one side, Democrats on another, liberals and whatever, all sorts. I never really fit in anywhere. I never felt like I belonged. So I just kind of would look out, like, these people are mad, and these people are mad, and they're mad, like, everyone's mad. It's like, I'm just wanting to read my book, about, like, whatever it was at the time, or go outside and play. It's like, I don't know what everyone's angry about. It's like, I couldn't do anything right. I was always beaten. You know, say I'd go to school, get beaten, come home, I'd get beaten. Like, I was the youngest kid and the smallest kid, so, you know, shit rolls downhill, as it were, and I was never a violent person anyway, so there wasn't anyone for me to pick on. So I guess due to that, I had a unique experience of just being separated from everyone, that I never felt like I really belonged anywhere and to any group, because I didn't. My main thing is I don't like yelling, which is weird that I got a thing with yelling now for PTSD and being in the military, and it drives me nuts. So me yelling upsets me more than it would yelling at other people. But I've always liked quiet. That's why I'm looking for a house currently that's just out in the country, away from everything, just because I'm a very sensitive sleeper. Like, the smallest little amount of light or the slightest noise wakes me up. And I was seeing this thing recently about infrasound, which is sound you can hear, but, you know, it's lower than what you can actually recognize. And it's actually bad for your hearing and causes a lot of health problems, because it's like a lot of cities will have it, because it's like machinery running, things like that in the distance, that so it travels and it's real low, but, you know, you don't really hear it yourself, but, you know, it's kind of like, you know, like sense like a subliminal message. Like, it's enough for your brain to register, but not for you to consciously be aware of. So, I mean, just that itself too is also probably good. Perhaps that's probably part of the problem is all the constant noise like that. My brain's perceiving it. I'm not really not, but I just can't sleep well in cities and things. But that's a whole other, again, topic. I just kind of going on here. I just thought it'd be good to share some thoughts, a little bit of experience of mine. Perhaps it'll be useful to someone. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a better situation going here where I can have a better setup. I'm not sure how the audio is on these really. So I'm just in this little camper. I haven't found a place to live here yet. But take that time to figure out, you know, your whys. Go through why you feel the way you do and work it all the way back. Like, okay, there is this. Like, and write it down. Writing down things helps. That's another thing that's scientifically proven, that writing things out on paper helps you, like, to remember. That's why they say for kids who go to schools with just books and paper, they remember more, they learn more, because writing it down helps you remember. And so when writing it out as well helps you think about things. So do that, write it out. Like, you ain't gotta, like, you know, do like your life story like an autobiography. Just like, okay, you know, I don't like blue Gatorade. Why? It's like, do I not like the color? Do I not like the taste? Like, just like, well, can kind of like, you know, like you do a little step down. It's like, oh, okay, so this and this, this and this. Well, and also there's this guy that I hated, that I used to work with, that always drink blue Gatorade, and he always drink it halfway and then would leave it on the bed of a truck, and I'd always have to clean it up the other day. Like, little things like that. And then do that for your bigger things. I mean, it can work for all things, but your bigger things too. And you work that out, you can kind of figure out why you feel the way you do. At least for me, I've worked out, like, okay, I know this bothers me. So, and I can anticipate that, you know, I think things through, like, okay, if someone does this, I'm going to remember it's like this stuff. This is why it bothers me. And it's kind of hard when something bothers you to try and explain to somebody, especially when they're not going to care of why they're doing what they're doing is upsetting you. So you just got to anticipate that people are going to, be idiots and just kind of do their own thing and only care about themselves. So you got to just anticipate that and then work, okay, I'm not even, it's like, don't even have to try and explain it to them, just for yourself to know, hey, this is eventually going to come up. I'm going to take my time. When that comes up, I'm going to know why. I'm going to have it in my head. And you can think about it. Remember, you've worked this out. If you feel like you can explain it to them, well, go ahead. Explain it to them. But again, you don't have to. Because a lot of times people don't care because they're in their own world. They got their own problems. That's just how society is nowadays, because there's so much going on, especially, I say, with the internet. That's really been the downfall of society, I believe, that especially with the add-on of social media, that everyone's constantly getting, like, data coming in. So it's just all this stuff all the time that nobody can really process what's going on with them. Like, so that's why I find it good to take time away from all that. Like, that's why I only do a video every few days, because I take my time to just get away. I go out, I just sit, I read books, I take the dog to the park. We go out, I practice taking pictures, things while I look for a house and a job up where I'm at now. So take that time away from everything and just work on yourself and work on not being upset because someone has a different opinion that you don't agree with. That's the main thing, because when you start getting mad and yelling at somebody because they, whatever reason, whatever it is, that you see all this stuff going on in this world, that they're just gonna want to be defensive. It's a natural thing to want to be defensive, to want to like defend themselves or pull away or do whatever they're doing. Just, you can't expect people to just take whatever it is you're doing or whatever you're saying and be like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Especially if you start yelling at each other, because you're gonna get in this cycle of they're gonna come at you, then you're gonna get defensive and come at them more, and then it's just gonna repeat. So the best thing you can do is, if really you're not feeling like you can say something, the old saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. Do that. Just don't say anything at all. And again, if they try, and a lot of times people want to have the last word, just let them have it. I know it's hard. At least it was always for me, a lot of, because feeling like I gotta be right. Even the times when I knew I was in the right and people were in the wrong and they were just being themselves, then just let it go, let them have it. It doesn't matter. Your day is going to be so much easier if you just walk away from a situation that's upsetting you. So, been here for about a half hour. I guess that's enough of a rant for the day of kind of scattered brain, but sorry, that's how I am with my PTSD. I kind of jump around a lot. That's why I do better when I write things out and go over it to create myself a bit of a script, as it were. I can focus my thoughts on things better. But I just jumped on today, just thinking about dealing with these things that were frustrating me and things that bother me, and kind of doing this more as an outlet than anything else. But be good and be kind and take the time to work on yourself and figure out your whys.